My name is Melissa Carter, and for the longest time I believed hard work, loyalty, and doing the right thing would always pay off. I believed that if I kept my head down, focused on the job, and stayed away from drama, good things would come. That's what my mom always told me. Keep your hands clean, baby, and you'll always be all right. I held on to those words like gospel. But let me tell you something. Nothing prepares you for the moment when the very person you trusted with your career turns around and throws you away like yesterday's trash. I was 27, working as the executive assistant to Bradley Hayes, CEO of a major marketing firm in New York. And when I say major, I mean big. Think Times Square billboards, Super Bowl commercials, celebrity endorsements. That kind of big. Bradley was one of those men who could walk into any room and immediately take up all the space. Tall, flashy, smooth-talking. The type that women swooned over and men envied. But under all that charm was someone who didn't like being told no. I didn't know that yet. Not really. Not until it was too late. For 2 years I was his right hand. I ran his calendar, booked his flights, covered for him when he forgot meetings, even handled his divorce paperwork when his wife finally left him. And despite how demanding he was, I pushed through. I was the first in and the last out, every single day. I missed holidays. I skipped vacations. I gave him my time, my energy, my loyalty, thinking maybe one day he'd see me as more than just his assistant. Maybe he'd recognize my work and promote me. I had dreams too, you know? I didn't want to be someone's assistant forever. Everything changed on a Thursday afternoon. I remember because I just finished prepping this huge investor presentation. Slides, reports, data projections, all perfectly polished. Bradley called me into his office. His door was cracked open, and I could already smell the scotch he always sipped when he was in one of his moods. He was sitting behind his desk, looking way too relaxed for a guy with $1 million meeting the next day. His tie was loose, sleeves rolled up, and that smug little grin on his face. "Melissa," he said, dragging out my name like it tasted sweet. "Come in." Close the door. Something about the way he said it made my skin crawl, but I did it anyway. He leaned back in his chair, watching me like I was some kind of prize at an auction. "You know, you've been working under me for a while now," he said. 2 years. I replied. "Just past the anniversary last week." "Exactly," he smiled. "And you've done a fantastic job. Honestly, I don't know what I'd do without you. Which is why I think it's time we talked about your future here." I felt a tiny spark of hope. Finally he was seeing me. "I was thinking," he continued, "there's no reason you should still be an assistant. I could see you as something bigger. VP maybe. If you're open to it." My heart was pounding. Of course I'm open. I mean, if you think I'm ready for that kind of responsibility, He cut me off with a laugh. "Slow down, sweetheart. You're definitely ready. The question is, are you willing to show a little appreciation for everything I've done for you?" And just like that, the air shifted. I didn't even have to ask what he meant. The way he leaned in. The way his eyes dropped to my chest. The tone of his voice. It all screamed one thing. I forced a smile, trying to play dumb. Appreciation. He stood up, came around the desk, and walked toward me, slow and deliberate. "Come on, Melissa. Don't make this weird. You're gorgeous. You're smart. We already have chemistry. You know it. I know it. Let's not pretend." I took a step back, completely stunned. "Bradley, I'm here to work. That's what I've always been here for." He scoffed. "So what, you think you're too good for me now?" "No. That's not it at all. This isn't professional." He didn't like that. His smile disappeared. "You know, I've given you more than anyone else in this company. And this is the thanks I get." "I didn't ask for anything," I said, my voice shaking. "I earned my place here. I've earned everything I've gotten." He turned away from me, grabbed his glass, and downed the rest of his drink in one gulp. Then he looked me dead in the eye and said the 5 words that shattered everything. "Take the rest of the day off." "What?" I blinked. "And don't come back tomorrow." I couldn't believe it. "You're firing me?" "No," he smirked. "I'm replacing you." I walked out of that office in a daze. My heart was racing. My vision blurred. And when I got back to my desk to grab my things, she was already there. Cassidy. His girlfriend. Some influencer I'd seen in his phone background a few times but never met. She was sitting in my chair, wearing my badge, flipping through a planner like she had a clue what she was doing. I went straight to HR, hoping, praying, that someone would stand up for me. But all I got was, Your position has been eliminated due to restructuring. Restructuring? I wanted to scream. It wasn't restructuring. It was punishment. Retaliation. Abuse of power. I cried for 2 straight days. Not just because I'd lost my job but because of the betrayal. I had given that man everything. And when I refused to sleep with him, he threw me away and handed my career to some girl he was sleeping with. I thought that was the end of it. I really did. But then, on the 3rd morning, I woke up to an email I wasn't supposed to see. No subject line. No name. Just one sentence. Check the flight logs. And that was when everything started to unravel. At first I thought the email was a prank. No name, no greeting, just those 4 words. Check the flight logs. I almost deleted it. But then I thought, what if it was real? What if someone inside the company knew what happened and was trying to help me? I couldn't let it go. I opened the attachment, and what I found made my jaw drop. It was a spreadsheet. Hundreds of entries. Flights, hotel stays, dinners, spa treatments. All paid for by the company. But these weren't business trips or team retreats. These were personal getaways. Luxury vacations to the Bahamas, Paris, Dubai. Charges at designer boutiques and Michelin star restaurants. And every single trip listed 2 guests. Bradley and Cassidy. I felt my stomach twist. Not only had he replaced me with his girlfriend, he'd been using the company credit card to spoil her. To fly her around the world, to buy her $1,000 handbags, to book oceanfront suites with champagne service. And here I was, crying over my rent because I'd just lost my job for having boundaries. I kept scrolling, my hands shaking. Some of the charges were recent. Some went back months. Then I found something else. PDFs. Scanned documents. Internal reports. Someone had filed a complaint. An employee in accounting had flagged the expenses as suspicious and sent a report directly to the CFO. But it was ignored. That same employee had tried again. Their comments were in bold, underlined, personal use of company funds, potential fraud. And still, nothing. It was like Bradley was untouchable. I sat there staring at my laptop, heart pounding like a drum in my chest. I had 2 choices. I could walk away, try to rebuild my life quietly, or I could burn it all down. I opened a new email and typed a name I hadn't used in over a year. Vanessa Tran. She was a journalist I'd met during a Women in Business panel. She'd interviewed me for a podcast about breaking into corporate America. She was sharp, fearless, and very well connected. I didn't waste time. Subject: urgent. You want this story? I attached everything. The logs, the reports, even a few old emails from Bradley that hinted at personal favoritism. Then I sat back and waited. An hour later, Vanessa called. "Melissa," she said. "What the hell did you just send me?" I told her everything. How I'd worked for Bradley. How he came on to me. How he fired me the moment I said no. How he replaced me with Cassidy. How the money trail led straight to him and his girlfriend. She didn't say much. Just listened. And then she said, "I'm on it. Stay close to your phone." The next few days were a blur. Vanessa moved fast. She contacted people I didn't even know worked at the company. Former employees, vendors, even a travel agent who'd booked some of the trips. It was like a full-blown investigation. And then, it happened. I woke up one morning to see Bradley's smug face plastered all over my phone screen. Breaking news. CO Bradley Hayes accused of misusing company funds to spoil influencer girlfriend. The story went viral in hours. Articles. Tweets. Think pieces. Everyone had something to say. Investors started backing out. Clients threatened to pull their contracts. And suddenly all those people who had ignored me, the ones who walked right past me while I packed my box, were scrambling. But here's the part one didn't expect. Just as I was starting to feel some kind of justice, Cassidy called me. Yes, Cassidy. His Cassidy. I didn't even know how she got my number, but when I picked up I could hear the panic in her voice. "Melissa," she said, breathless. "It's Cassidy. Please don't hang up. I need to talk to you." I didn't say a word. I just listened. She started sobbing. "He lied to me. I didn't know he fired you. He told me you quit, that you didn't want to work for someone who was too demanding. And all those trips, he said they were part of a campaign. He said the company was launching a luxury lifestyle division and that I was going to be the face of it." I stayed silent, letting her talk. Part of me was angry, so angry. But another part of me, Maybe the part that knew what it was like to be manipulated by someone powerful just felt tired. He made me sign an NDA, she continued. Said it was standard. But I read it after I signed, and I think he was planning to use it against me. That got my attention. What do you mean? I asked. He told me to never speak about our trips or about any of the gifts. That if I ever did, I'd be the one in trouble, not him. But I made a copy of the NDA before I signed it. I can send it to you if it helps. I almost laughed. Not out of humor but disbelief. After everything she was offering to help me. Why now? I asked her. And what she said next stunned me. I think I was just another pawn to him. He used me to replace you. Used me for fun. But now that the press is on him, he's ghosting me. Blocking my calls. Pretending I don't exist. Her voice cracked. I think he's setting me up to take the fall. That's when I realized. This story wasn't just about me anymore. Bradley had been playing a dirty game for years. But now the truth was finally crawling out into the light. And I was no longer the girl he discarded. I was the girl who had nothing left to lose. And I was just getting started. I never imagined I'd become the center of a corporate scandal. One minute I was an overworked assistant, the next I was fielding interview requests, LinkedIn connection floods, and anonymous tips from inside the company. People who had once ignored me now treated me like I held a golden key. And honestly, I kind of did. Cassidy followed through. She sent me the NDA Bradley made her sign. And it was worse than I expected. It wasn't just a basic confidentiality agreement. It included clauses that placed full financial responsibility on her for any fallout tied to unauthorized expenditures, along with an arbitration clause that basically said she couldn't sue him ever. It was a trap. He had framed it like a business contract, but it was designed to protect him at every turn. And she'd signed it, believing she was building a future with him. It made me sick to my stomach. But I wasn't about to let her take the fall for his manipulation. Not when I had evidence that stretched back months. Not when I had his voice on old voicemails hinting at promotion in exchange for personal loyalty. Not when he had tried to silence me for saying no. I forwarded the NDA to Vanessa, along with everything Cassidy told me. Vanessa's legal team took one look and told her it was enough to open an ethics investigation. And potentially a criminal one. The misuse of funds, the coercion, the cover-up. It wasn't just scandalous. It was illegal. Then came the moment I'll never forget. I was sitting in a quiet cafe in Brooklyn when I got a text from Vanessa. Turn on the news. Now. I pulled up the live stream on my phone and there he was. Bradley Hayes. Standing at a podium, eyes hollow, voice dry. Announcing his resignation for personal reasons. No apology. No accountability. Just corporate fluff. But the media wasn't fooled. The reporters pounced, asking about the investigation, the leaked documents, Cassidy, the spending. He couldn't hide behind charm anymore. The world saw him for what he really was. A fraud with a six-figure wardrobe and a god complex. Later that week, the board released a statement. Internal audit. Full transparency. Promises of reform. They called me a brave former employee. I never thought I'd hear those words. But here's what really blew my mind. A recruiter from a rival firm reached out to me. Said she'd been following the story. Told me her company had just opened a new department. Employee advocacy and compliance. They were looking for someone to lead it. Someone who knew what it meant to speak up. Someone like me. At first I didn't know what to say. Part of me was still reeling from everything. But then I remembered the girl I was in that office. Taking orders, staying late, swallowing my voice. And I thought, no. That girl doesn't live here anymore. So I said yes. My first day at the new company felt like a dream. I walked into a corner office. Not as someone's assistant but as a director. My name was on the door. My opinion mattered. And for the first time in a long time I didn't feel small. Cassidy, meanwhile, moved back to LA. She texted me a few weeks later. Said she was starting therapy. Said she was done dating men who wore $10,000 watches but had $10 morals. I wished her well. We weren't friends but we weren't enemies anymore. We were survivors of the same fire. And Bradley? Last I heard he was under federal review for wire fraud and tax evasion. Turns out, Cassidy wasn't the only one he used company money on. He had a pattern. And once the press cracked the surface, the rest of his dirty secrets came pouring out like water through a busted pipe. It's funny. I used to dream about getting promoted. About finally being seen, finally being valued. I thought I had to earn it by proving myself over and over and over. But now I know, being seen isn't something you beg for. Something you take back when someone tries to steal it from you. People asked me if I regret it. Blowing the whistle. Going public. Losing everything before I gained anything. And my answer? No. Not for a second. Because sometimes when the world knocks you down, it's not trying to end you. It's clearing the ground so you can rise again, with fire in your chest and your name in lights. My name is Melissa Carter. And I didn't just survive the fall. I owned the landing.